Hi, everybody. This is Marc Berman. I'm CEO and managing partner of the Mallett Group. The Mallett Group is a 28-year-old company that focuses on loyalty, relationship marketing, financial services, credit card development, and both domestically and internationally. And historically, we have had the honor and privilege to work with both very large and smaller brands all around the world. And I'm sitting here with Jodi Rausch from Concentrix, and maybe you can talk a little bit about you and where you come from, and tell me about Concentrix, please.
Sure. It's great to meet you. I'm glad to sit down and have this conversation. I certainly am very familiar with the Mallett Group and have been at a number of conferences with you guys over the years, which is great.
We have our paths have crossed.
Yes, they have. Yes, they have. So I am the managing director of Loyalty Solutions Group within Concentrix.
Okay.
Concentrix is, it's a pretty big company. We have over 440,000 employees globally.
Really?
We have historically been a contact center and BPO organization, and as the world continues to change, we continue to evolve as an organization as well.
Okay.
And we are becoming much more technology-driven. We are data-driven. We have expansive practices that really cross all customer touch points across the CX. So we were acquired, our group was acquired about 3 years ago now, and we really bring a whole different aspect of strategy consulting to the team, and that includes the loyalty group.
So can you give an example of how you, within Concentrix, have influenced or developed a loyalty program or how a brand?
Yes. I am not at liberty to share brands, but I will tell you they are all brands that you have heard of. So
retail brands?
Retail, we have sports and entertainment. We have a number of people who have been here at Loyalty Summit that we have worked with. We do footwear, we do pet. We do a lot in the automotive space. We have a number of interesting clients, both in traditional and non-traditional loyalty practices.
So if I went to the Concentrix website, I wouldn't see any brand names?
You won't see brand names.
Interesting.
No.
How come? Why is that?
I think a lot of it is the history that we had with the contact centers of people being very worried about who is working on my program. Are they sharing industry secrets? And it just became a lot better for us to firewall a lot of what we do. We work with, across the entire business, we work with pretty much every size brand that you could imagine. A lot of the Fortune 500 use us for contact centers. And then as our organization has grown, the ways that we help our clients have grown beyond contact center and BPO. We bring to them more data and
BPO?
analytics.
What's that?
Oh, sorry, business process and organization. So if as you're just running your business, how do we help you run your business? What are the things that we learn out of the contact center to help you change how you're running your business?
So you're actually helping companies strategically run their business and how they can evolve their business going forward.
Yes. Yes, and that is the organization as a whole. When you look at the Loyalty Solutions team, we are really rooted, for those who are watching and listening, if you are familiar with Lenati, who were back in the early 2000s. Let's see, Lenati, I believe, I'm going to get the date wrong, so I'm not even going to guess it. But in the 2000s, Lenati was established as a strategic consulting firm out of Seattle, and became a very big player in the loyalty consulting world as well. And through acquisitions over time, we are now still a loyalty practice, but we are a loyalty practice within a much, much larger organization.
Sounds like you said 440,000
people globally.
And globally, correct. So what is the primary function of those 440,000 people? Is it contact centers? Is it?
Yeah, so a lot of those are contact center agents, certainly around the world, for sure.
So why would I hire Concentrix? I'm a retailer. I have, 600 apparel stores, let's say. Why would I hire Concentrix?
So Concentrix has a lot of deep knowledge. Here's the interesting thing is, you're not familiar with Concentrix. A lot of people, if you are not in the contact center space, are not familiar with Concentrix.
Correct.
But as we have been acquiring other brands and other organizations that do beyond contact center work, you'd be surprised how many you have actually worked with. So we work with For example, I mean, we're in the Forrester Analyst Report, we're in the Everest Report.
Okay.
So certainly the analysts know who we are and where we've come from, which is good.
Okay.
The challenge is making sure that everyone knows who we are and that we're not new to the space.
Okay.
So that's part of it. We do have deep knowledge in a lot of different industries and sectors, retail especially when it comes to marketing and to loyalty.
Yes.
We work with one of the largest sports leagues in the country that is actually a global league as well.
Okay.
And so, I think as we work with these brands, we are not necessarily the consumer-facing brand, but obviously our clients are the consumer-facing brand.
Correct.
Our expertise lies both in when we think about loyalty solutions, what we bring to the table that's maybe a little bit different than what other people do, is we focus on human-centered design.
Okay.
We have an entire UI UX team that sit with us on every project and help us think about things from the customer standpoint. And it's beyond what does the customer want. We certainly include what does the customer want and need from a data and analytics and research perspective, but what is their experience with the brand? And it's not just in the store, it's also online. It's about how do I engage with them. Now that we're part of Concentrix, it's thinking through the contact center experience as well. So what are all of those touch points and what are the moments that matter?
So many years ago, excuse me, the term came up, and this goes back 25 years now, the 360-degree view of the customer. And that iteration, there have been many iterations of that through the years. But I think that's what you're talking about.
A bit,
is
yes.
Looking at a customer and how they interact with my brand, what touch points do they, engage with, and how can we optimize and make sure the customer is feeling taken care of, has a positive association to the brand, which obviously drives sales and revenue.
Yes, absolutely.
Did I capture that correctly?
I think you captured that beautifully.
Okay.
I think there's when you think about working with clients, and you guys do it all the time as well, clients, the businesses, the brands, they have their own objectives.
Yep.
And you need to meet those objectives for them to feel like, whether it's a loyalty strategy or a programmatic loyalty component, or it is relationship marketing, whatever it might be, they need to feel like they're achieving their objectives. They need to achieve their objectives for, in many cases, stakeholders. You have to balance their needs with what the customer needs as well.
Yep.
Because if you're not serving both audiences, it's not going to work.
That's correct.
And so I think that is a big focus of what we try to do is how do we bring that balance to the table, make everybody happy, and everybody successful. Yes. And we do not have our own technology platform, so we work with a lot of the major platforms. We are a preferred systems integrator for a number of them. But we really also try to include our enablement group, which is familiar with all the platforms. We have sandboxes for many of them. We try to make sure that they're involved from the beginning as well, so that as we are thinking about how to bring loyalty to life for our clients, from the very start, we're thinking about what that might look like from a technology perspective. Some clients have us help them with the RFP process. Sometimes we're a systems integrator. Sometimes we do the managed services on the end, on the back end. But really making sure that we are thinking about also the integrations. What is the total cost of ownership? What do you already have in your MarTech stack? So that when it's time to bring the platform into play, we're making sure it's connected everywhere it needs to be connected to truly bring that really good connected experience within the brand, not just with partners, but bring it to life so that when you show up at the POS, they know who you are. Or when you go online, they know who you are, and they also know what you did at the POS. So how are we connecting all of those dots? I think that's really important.
So are you working mostly in the retail space or travel?
Not as much travel. A lot of retail, as I mentioned, some of the more of the sports and entertainment.
QSR?
Not as much QSR.
So it's really retail focused, where you are right now.
Yeah, retail, media, telecom, and automotive are really kind of some of our biggest. We are working with a handful of BFSI clients. Not necessarily
Say that
just
again.
BFSI, banking, financial
I'm
services.
just trying to keep it simple here.
Yes, banking, financial services, and insurance.
Acronyms.
Yes, exactly.
We all get caught up in acronyms.
We certainly do. Because I think that there's a lot, loyalty has an assumed definition by a lot of people across the world. When you think loyalty, you think points and you think miles or you think programs.
Yep.
And there's so much more, especially when you think about the strategy behind what you do for a program. You can do that same thing without a program. And how do we bring that to life, especially in industries where loyalty is not traditional? And they're trying to start getting their heads around it. You think about healthcare. You think about insurance. It's not necessarily just about retention. Healthcare, a lot of it is how are you encouraging people to be proactive patients, preventative care.
That's correct.
How are you encouraging them to take a more active role in their healthcare?
That's right.
And a lot of the loyalty practices that we use in apparel and retail, you can use there as well if you can think about it and shift your mindset to how you're delivering it, because there's not necessarily a store
I
associated.
totally agree with you. It's very applicable to healthcare, but healthcare is such a complicated
It is.
industry
100%.
with HIPAA,
Yes.
privacy,
Yes.
and what you can share and what you can't share. And I don't think anybody really has cracked that code
Agreed.
yet.
Yes.
It will be at
Yes.
one point, is my belief, but I think it's a very complicated industry.
It really
to be
is.
able to. But we see massive healthcare systems emerging within the United States to acquiring hospitals, acquiring clinics to provide services. And I think that patients are feeling left out.
Yes.
And I think the more you can engage patients, the more they can make better decisions about their health care and feel cared about.
Yes.
And I think that could be a real growth opportunity.
Absolutely.
In that space.
Absolutely. I think there are a handful of sectors where, think about insurance, similar to healthcare. There are so many pain points. It's hard to understand. I don't know what I'm getting.
Right.
There's so much confusion. And I think a loyalty strategy, not necessarily a program, can help solve a lot of that. Thinking about the customer pain points and how do we make it easier for them to not just understand what they're getting, but how to use the brand, how to use the content. How are we delivering really personalized and curated content to people based on what we know?
Can I give you an example?
Sure,
Okay.
please.
I'm wearing a Fitbit on
Yes.
my wrist here. That was provided to me by my life insurance company, John Hancock Vitality, which is a loyalty, sort of a loyalty program where it rewards me for exercising, for making healthy decisions, for getting annual checkups, et cetera, and what it actually does in the end. And it's not really, it really taps into the gamification part, because in the end, my life insurance policy premiums go down if I achieve, platinum status or gold status or whatever it is. But it sort of brings to life that you can motivate people
Yes.
to take better care of themselves by laying out a strategy and a way to engage them and make them feel cared about. And we're trying to help you be a healthier person.
Absolutely.
And also into the competitive piece of,
Right.
okay, I really want to, achieve this.
Absolutely.
Which is one of the underlying issues with loyalty. Of
I think-
aspirational loyalty.
Absolutely. When you think about the psychology behind it, the thinking behind it, we actually have an entire behavioral science team
You do.
within Concentrix, which I'm thrilled that now we're part of this organization that brings people with PhDs about more of the psychological aspect, because that's a critical thing too. When I think about loyalty, and I'm sure that you are very much the same way, it's this marriage of art and science.
Yeah, that is very
because
true.
if you're not
That is
using
very
data,
true.
if you're not using data, you're missing a huge aspect.
Right.
But if you're not thinking about the customer, and I think a lot of that behavioral science helps us pull it all together in a new way than what we did before.
Well, Jodi, let's talk about that for a minute and talk about transactional loyalty and emotional
loyalty,
Okay, you're on
huge.
that. So
Yes. We
tell
talk
me
about
about
it
your
all the
thoughts
time.
on that.
Yeah. I mean, I think, when you think about traditional loyalty, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a traditional loyalty, but, the spend and get programs, the fly and get, the stay and get, whatever that might be, you're creating habits for people.
Correct.
And in my mind, that's the transactional loyalty side.
Correct.
But if you've not appealed to their emotions and you're not making them love the brand, if there is not deep brand love, As soon as someone comes along with a shinier and brighter offer,
Yeah, right.
more points, something richer, bigger discounts,
Right. Bigger,
you
better.
jump.
Right. You do. You do.
And there's nothing that keeps me to that brand other than, oh, well, I was getting rewards there, but I get better rewards here. So I'm gonna try this new brand. The emotional side is so critical in building advocates. In one thing that we talk about also is pit moments and peak moments. And we talked about it yesterday a little bit here at the conference.
Yeah,
but,
right.
you know,
Repeat that. Okay.
pit moments when you fall and you fail as a brand
Yep.
for your customer, and peak moments when you really exceed their expectations. If you have enough peak moments, or if you think of almost like a radio wave kind of thing, if you are above the line
Right.
most of the time,
Yep.
it saves you when you have a pit moment, when you fail. And it could be anything from your flight got canceled.
Right.
It could be you get to a hotel and they're overbooked and there's not a room for you. It could be that, you know, I couldn't use my reward at an apparel retailer, whatever it might be. Bad customer experience. How do you get over that? And if and here's an example, they are not a client, so I feel like I can say them. I live in Atlanta. I am a diehard Delta fan.
Okay.
I am a diamond
You have to be.
medallion.
You have
Yes,
to be.
exactly. It's the best choice in Atlanta for sure.
Right, of course.
I'm a diamond medallion. The miles that I earn for my flights, I love it. It's lovely, but that's not why I love them. I love them because they treat me differently, because of the early boarding, the free bag, you know, all of that, the Sky Club, all of the perks, the experiential moments.
Right.
And that is what really makes me an emotional
Right.
loyalty member of Delta, as opposed to just a transactional. Very seldomly do you have emotional without transactional, but you certainly can. You think about people who are just diehards about a brand because they love what they stand for, they love the aesthetic.
Yes.
That brand love doesn't necessarily always equate to purchase, because some things are,
Right.
if you're a big car person,
Well,
you may not be able to afford that car,
right.
but you can still love the brand.
Well, I'll give you an example of that from the conference. Claudia Infante
Yes.
from Margaritaville.
Yes.
And, you know, the brand of Margaritaville is obviously associated with Jimmy Buffett. But somebody asked yesterday, appropriately, you know, Jimmy passed away, how did that affect the brand? And it really didn't affect the Margaritaville brand because they had separated it out. But people's passion for Margaritaville and what it
Yes.
stands for
huge.
is huge, and that is total emotional loyalty.
Yes.
In my opinion, and they have been very, very successful.
Yes. In their case, they've done a beautiful job of the emotional loyalty driving the transactional loyalty too.
That's correct.
Because I
That
love
is
you so
correct.
much, I'm going to come and I'm going to spend with you.
That's correct.
Another good example, I think, from yesterday was Hope Tannenbaum from the NBA.
Yes.
If you think about
Yes.
that,
Yes.
the NBA ID program is not monetized.
Yes.
There's not a financial incentive. Certainly there are partner benefits and perks like that that ultimately do have some financial value to them, but the program itself is emotional loyalty.
Right.
It's about you have a passion for this sport.
Right.
This is where I want to come. I want to participate with badges. I want to get involved. I want the behind the scenes.
Right.
It's so, emotion to me is what makes loyalty different.
You are so right, and I think the NBA does a great job of it. It's a sport that has grown, and it's grown passion, and it was really a great session yesterday
Yeah.
about how they are excelling in that.
Totally agree.
And being market leaders.
Yes,
So-
for sure.
Do you see any other market leaders out there?
I think there are a lot. I think about Nike. Former client, not current client,
Okay.
so I feel like I can talk about them as well. I mean, Nike does a really good job. When they originally rolled out the Nike Plus program,
Yep.
the only benefit was free shipping, and I say only. I mean, there is a
Think about
financial,
Prime, right.
Yes, there is a financial aspect to that, but there is such a passion for Nike. Nike has such a following, and a lot of that emotional connection is due to sports.
Yep.
It's due to a lot of their sports athletes who are tied to the brand. I mean, you think about what Michael Jordan did for Nike for years.
Right.
And there are so many who have followed in his footsteps. not just in basketball, not just in the mainstream sports, in the non-mainstream sports.
Right.
I think that they have done a really outstanding job of driving that emotional loyalty with or without the program.
Swoosh is a very,
big deal.
very powerful thing.
Yes.
You see it, you know it. You know it exactly.
And there are people who will only wear the swoosh, and if you're not wearing the swoosh, they have something to say about it, yes, for
You
sure.
know, I mentioned Prime, and Amazon's an amazing company. I remember when it went public the first day, I said, oh, it's a bookseller.
Yeah.
Where are they going to go?
Right.
You know? And, well, I was obviously wrong. There was a bigger vision there.
Yeah.
But that was many years ago. But that being said, Prime is a wonderful example of, I think, a loyalty program that provides benefits, that has expanded into
Yes.
different media channels. It has you. But free shipping
Yeah.
was really the driver,
starter.
was the starting point.
Yep.
So, yeah, tell me what you think of Prime.
The first thing I'll say is I find it very humorous, entertaining. The number of people who don't think of Prime as a loyalty program. I understand that
Yeah,
it's
that's
paid,
true.
so it
Yeah.
is subscription, but at the end of the
that's
day,
okay.
it's a loyalty program.
Yeah, right. Absolutely.
I think one of the things, and I am a Prime member, I think most people in this world are at this point, not all. But I think one of the things that impresses me the most is that, to your point, they never rested on their laurels with one benefit or two benefits. Every year, there is something new and there is something different
Enhancements.
that is getting more fingers into more pots
That's
of
right.
who you are as a person and how you engage. You think about the media aspect. Like, my go-to, I'm sorry to say, is not necessarily my movie streaming service that I am also paying for, but I go to Amazon Prime first to see what movies and shows and whatever.
I do too.
That's where I go
I do
first.
too.
I never would have done that before.
And it's so seamless because, okay, I'll buy that movie, and all of a sudden it pops on your app,
Yes.
and you know, they send you an email, and it's just so integrated.
Yes. I use an Amazon Fire TV stick for my TV, so everything's in there. That's where it naturally happens. And all of my subscriptions to any other streaming service through my TV is billed to me through Amazon. Well, isn't that smart of them?
It is. What about Alexa?
Alexa. Oh, I have mixed emotions about, I have
Oh,
two.
tell me about
I
that.
have two. I love the ease. The ease, the convenience is fantastic. What I don't like, and I think this is what we talked about privacy here at the conference a little bit yesterday, and here is where I think things feel very sticky, is if I have a conversation with someone in my house about a brand,
Yeah.
and the next day I go online and I have ads for that product
Really?
that I have not specifically done a search for.
Oh, I haven't experienced that. Oh, that's interesting.
Someone's listening.
Alexa is listening.
Someone's listening. I think Alexa knows that I tend to at times have a potty mouth.
Okay.
I think she knows that I will yell at the TV when I'm watching sports. She knows a lot about who I am, and I think this is where we as marketers too, I think, are starting to drift into that gray area as AI becomes more
Yes, correct.
involved and technology continues to excel at such a speed that we have never seen before. We're getting into some gray areas that I think we should tiptoe.
Well, that's a very interesting point, and I think you're right. I use Alexa every day for all sorts of things. What time is it in Tel Aviv?
Right.
You know, is this person alive or dead?
Right.
How old is blah, blah, blah?
Yeah.
And the instantaneous information is just amazing.
Yes.
And it always confounds me. How does that, I think it's AI,
Yeah.
how does it happen so fast? But it does. And, but you're right. She is listening, or Amazon
She
is
is,
listening.
yes.
And I think there has to be caution there. But I use it.
Yes, I know.
And
I
I'm
know.
not I don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Maybe I should, but I don't.
It's the convenience factor really is.
Right,
Like,
it is.
it's convenient enough to pick up your phone and Google something, but at the same time, it's just as easy to say it verbally.
Right.
And I feel bad for all those kids who have never actually had to look up something in the Encyclopedia Britannica
Well, that's true.
and go to the library.
That is true. Yeah, well, that's a different conversation.
Different conversation for another
as
day.
to when we were growing up.
Yes,
and,
exactly.
without the internet, et cetera,
Yeah.
et cetera. So, in closing, what do you see a few years from now in loyalty?
Yeah.
Where do you think it's heading?
You know, we've had good conversations this week about personalization.
We have.
And, you know, I feel like a number of things we've talked about here at the conference. We've talked about for years, and I feel like we're finally getting there. I mean, when did we start talking about one-to-one personalization? It was decades ago. And we're still trying to figure it out.
Now it's called hyper-personalization.
Yes, and it is getting much, much closer. But I think that brands and those of us who work with brands and help guide them, I think we're getting better about thinking not necessarily about one-to-one, maybe one to a few, but so much more curation and personalization so that how, I don't know, pick a brand, The Gap, how you experience The Gap is going to be, I think, in a few years, very different from how I experience The Gap, because we're going to, when you go online, when you go on the app, even when you go in a store, you may have a significantly different experience than I do because we shop differently. We browse differently, we purchase differently.
Correct.
Not just from a category perspective, but some people like to put a lot of things in their cart and then think about it for a while and then come back. Some people like to go to stores and try things on as opposed to putting them in a cart. There are so many different aspects of human behavior that we're starting to recognize and acknowledge and kind of tweak how we work with customers to accommodate.
Giving customers more control,
Yes.
more options.
Choice.
And that is
Choice.
loyalty.
Yeah.
Choice in redemptions and earning and burning.
Yeah.
And I absolutely agree with you.
Yeah.
That will continue
Yeah.
to evolve.
Yeah. I think too, and we, again, something that we've talked about a bit here at the conference, the role of points and miles and things like that. I don't think they're necessarily going away, but I know in conversations with our clients, to me, it's no longer is and should not be the hero benefit. There should be some other reason why you are engaging with a brand than points.
Well, you're 100% right, and one of the our tenets at the Mallett Group is that there are 7 ways to look at loyalty. Some of it's in points and miles, some of it's promotional, some of it is subscription, some of it is just soft benefits. There's just different ways to look at loyalty, to look at a brand and say, hey, this is what's going to work for this cohort, for you, or a cohort within your brand, and give people the choice and the power to make their own.
Yes.
And generationally, it's certainly
Absolutely.
part of that solution as well.
Yes. I love that you brought that up because as we are in the same kind of field and we do the same type of thing, we have our elements of membership value, and it's very similar. It's, you kind of think about what are the different ways that you can bring value to your clients, and it's more than just the monetary. Exactly. I love that.
Okay. Well, this was a very enjoyable conversation.
I enjoyed it too, Mark. Thank you so much. I know.
And it evolved, and that's always the best thing, a
Absolutely.
spontaneous, thoughtful conversation. And thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Mark. It was great to finally meet you.
An honor. Okay.
Take care.
Okay.